What's going on, Nick? How are we doing today?
Tango, tango, tango,
Nick,
tango,
Nick, Nick,
tango.
Nick, Nick.
We're doing
Uh,
good, man. How are you, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. So, sorry, listeners. We had planned to do this a couple days ago, but things have been happening. We've both been really busy. Nick, tell us a little bit of what you have going on, because I know you got a lot of stuff going on right now. If you want to share,
Yeah,
if
we
you want to
got
share
we
with our
got lots of
listeners.
stuff going on in the community. We just got done a subathon over this past weekend for my
Crazy,
birthday and
30
whatnot.
hours. 30 hours.
I still can't believe I went that long. And we're just working through some content stuff. We got lots of cool things coming up. I have a WBC tournament planned this coming weekend. On the 24th, the 25th, and the 26th. Super stoked for that.
Oh, how does
We
that
got
work? How
information
do
coming
you
for
like
that
you
soon.
just make those teams out of Diamond Dynasty players or what?
Yeah, pretty
As
much what we
close as you
do is
can.
just what every player who's participating picks one person from each country and then just builds a team from there.
Okay.
And it's gonna be on All Star 3 inning games, and there's gonna be a cash prize and everything, so that's gonna be a lot of fun.
Dope,
And
dope, dope.
yeah, it's one of the big things we got going on.
Awesome. Awesome. That's exciting. All
Oh
right.
yeah.
Well, um, yeah, I mean, let's get into it. So last week, big week for MLB The Show 23. Tuesday, we got our gameplay feature premiere where they went over a lot of stuff. And then on Wednesday, running from Wednesday until this past Tuesday. Is that when it ended? Monday, Tuesday? I can't even remember now. It's my
Yeah, it
mind
was.
is
I think it was Tuesday.
Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday at 10 a.m. So basically, for about a week, we got the MLB The Show 23 tech test, which was, I think, general feedback. Everybody had a lot of fun playing the tech test and wished
Yeah,
they
I
could
had a
be
great
playing it more.
time.
Yeah, so we'll get into sort of what they talked about in the gameplay feature. So it seems like, SDS this year, they're just giving us kind of here's the feature premieres you guys want to see. We're trying to answer your questions as fast as we can. Like they, started off with the bang, obviously with here's our big brand new feature with Negro Leagues and storylines coming to MLB The Show. Then they went right into it with gameplay. And then, I mean, obviously this week we're getting Diamond Dynasty, which is crazy. That's usually the last one they
Yeah.
do. So hope, and it looks like they have some surprises on the horizon too, which is going to be interesting.
I mean, honestly, I like the way that SDS is doing it because it gets us more excited for the game and everything. But at the same time, they are answering our questions that we've had for a long time, which would take a long time to figure out because I mean, also that they pretty much stopped pumping out content at the end of November, so they have been working on this for a very long time,
Yeah, the
which I
the end of the
understand. But
content cycle was
it was a lot earlier this year
probably
than it usually
probably my
was.
biggest. The content itself was really good in 22, but the
Mm,
schedule to me was like the worst part about the entire MLB 22 experience for me
yeah.
was the schedule of it. I have very many thoughts about that, but we're not going to talk about that today. So we're talking more about gameplay and tech tests. So we'll just quickly go over all the new or sort of updated gameplay, things that they were talking about in their feature premiere last week. So fielding is what they started off with. Basically, the gist of it is that this year your fielding stats are really going to have an impact on the game. And I would definitely say I felt it in the tech test. I mean, we'll talk about it in depth in a little bit, but yeah, fielding stats will matter, reaction time, stuff like that. And then obviously the biggest thing as far as fielding, there's always, they added some new animations. I didn't really see, I would say, like too many in the games that I played. I know they talked specifically kind of about like foul ball robbing and stuff, but I didn't have very many
I
of
never
those.
I never saw that new
Yeah,
animation at
I never
all.
had really like any of those situations pop up for me in the
No.
tech test. But and then obviously the biggest one was the throwing meter and sort of the variable throwing meter, I'm going to call it, which again we'll talk more about that in a little bit. And then quirks and the clutch update. So basically there are four new
The clutch
quirks.
factor.
The clutch factor, yes. So four new quirks: table setter, pickoff artist, break outlier, and then the bad ball hitter, which And then also, I guess the bigger update to quirks, which I think a lot of people were really happy about, is that they took out any quirks that don't actually have an impact on the game. They said, "See you later. We're not just going to put
Yep.
quirks for show."
Hmm.
So a guy like Mike Trout, take away half his quirks, but half of them don't matter anyway. He's still going to be an amazing card to use,
Yeah.
obviously, but
I like that they
never.
did that.
Yeah, I mean, it never really made sense for in Diamond Dynasty to just have that extra sort of fluff of
Mm,
here's
I
things
agree.
that don't have any impact. So it does continue the trend, I would say, over the last few years of everything that you see. I'd say especially specifically in Diamond Dynasty, sort of actually having an effect on your gameplay experience. Going from MLB 18 with like bobbleheads, and that's kind of where they brought in team uniforms, but then you had no use for them other than collecting, to now like you can equip the uniforms. Now we're taking out unnecessary quirks, so steps in the right direction for sure.
Yes, sir.
um, and then clutch. So yeah, Nick, why don't you just talk about the clutch factor?
The clutch factor. Well, I see. I mean, the clutch. A lot of times in the past in MLB The Show, like the past couple years that I've played, the clutch attribute literally meant nothing. And I like the fact that the whole clutch thing is gonna mean something this year at MLB The Show 23, because if you have runners in scoring position, that clutch attribute is actually gonna mean something. And I believe it's going to take away from the pitcher's hits per nine whenever there is runners in scoring position. Whenever that clutch factor does come into play in the game, and it's going to make for more intense ball games. I actually really like it because it's going to help me out because I suck at hitting. And I mean, I'm definitely going to suffer for it as well on the pitching side of things, but all in all, I really like it.
Yeah, it's definitely something that could be really cool when you're talking about like end of the game, close games, bringing in a guy like Mariano Rivera, Trevor Hoffman, some of those big time
Mm.
closers who would have huge clutch numbers. And then, if that bumps up their hits per nine, and maybe your opponent doesn't have the greatest hitter at the plate, if you're on the offensive side, you're bringing in somebody with a higher clutch factor who's maybe sitting on your bench. Who you want to put in one of those big time spots. So it's going to
Yeah,
be
so it matters.
interesting.
It matters more in head-to-head battles.
Yeah,
I think that's what
definitely
it's going to come down to.
going to be interesting and bring like a little bit more strategy to,
Mm.
some of those more like sweaty situations. Maybe for like drafting BR teams too, stuff like that. But yeah, it's good. It's again just it's good to have things that matter and have an impact on the game, and either get rid of things that don't or change them so that
Mm.
somehow they do have this effect. Yeah, and then we get into sort of obviously visual updates, new on-screen displays. So they added things like sort of like a stat cast. You can basically get like sort of live stats for how you've been doing in that game, I think. And then they change a little bit of when you do, not that we want people to R2, but when you hit R2 and you can see the pitch selection for the pitcher. I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah.
like every time somebody brings in a new pitcher, I'm instantly R2ing because I want to see what pitches they're gonna have coming at me.
Yep.
The swing feedback window got updated. There's a new PCI that we can talk about, and then pinpoint feedback, and then just your Diamond Dynasty lineup screen obviously changes. We can talk about kind of the menus. I mean, I know it's not a finished or polished product, but definitely some new looks. And
Mm.
then obviously the biggest thing that everybody was wanting them to address was hitting, and they did. They addressed hitting. They said, "Hey, we know like it doesn't seem like you can ever strike guys out when you really want to. People are fouling balls off left and right. We fixed that, or we updated it," is kind of what they said. They didn't really give us any specifics as to sort of like what really changed. They just sort of said you should see more swing and miss. So maybe the timing window kind of got shrunk down a little bit. And then the one thing that they did talk about that they changed was, your vision attributes, which is your batter's outer PCI being reduced by 50% just overall. So I think, depending on which difficulty you're playing at, it would kind of, obviously going from all star to legend, you can see a significant decrease as it is.
Hmm.
And then, I mean, you're going to see even more this year compared to last year.
This is why I use the inner PCI to get ready for something like this.
Right, because the inner PCI shouldn't,
Yeah.
from what I know, wouldn't have changed at all.
Yeah. No, it's
Except
I think it
for
just affected the outer PCI.
I guess when you're in clutch situations because it would affect your contact, right? Clutch goes to
Yeah.
contact, so then
Mhm.
because contact is inner PCI. I personally, I just like to use the outer PCI because again, I love a giant PCI, so give me the biggest one
Mhm.
possible. Then we get into some other updates that they mentioned. They sort of just everybody was like waiting for, some other announcements, and they kind of just dropped it right at the end of the stream, and then they were gone. There's like, hey,
Yeah.
we have ranked co-op.
Yeah.
Hey, you can use DH in Diamond Dynasty. Hey, you can use Shohei Ohtani as a two-way player. End stream. That was pretty much it. So I think they
Yeah.
might expand on that a little bit in the Diamond Dynasty stream. We'll get to see sort of hopefully how the reward system works for rank co-op. I mean, if you look at just what they showed, it just looks exactly like single player ranked. So I'm not sure if you'd have the exact same rewards. There's part of me that thinks you might, but I don't know. Who knows? We'll find out probably today.
Yeah, I think so. I think
Yeah.
so.
And then that was basically everything that they brought up. I think, was there anything else that they talked about on the gameplay feature, Nick?
Yeah. DH, two-way players. I believe that was it.
I believe that's it. All right, so let's just do
Yeah.
some more deep diving. So we'll start off with this, I guess, deep diving as far as our reactions to this, how we thought these things played out when we played the tech test. I mean, Nick played it for like 24 hours straight, basically.
Yeah,
I
pretty
played it
much.
almost every day. So what did you, when you were playing tech test, what did you like? What were the modes that you played the most, or what you tried to play? Like, were you trying to get a variety of everything, or?
I was trying to get a variety, pretty much of everything. I mostly played BR because for some reason I believed that I would go flawless during the tech test, but it just didn't happen. I got to 7-0, and that's the highest I went.
That's better than
But
I
I
did.
played mostly BR events, a little bit of ranked co-ops to see how that would go, with just some friends and stuff. And we played lots of friendlies and everything too, so a little bit of everything.
Nice. Yeah, I thought I would say I played mostly BR, and then I mean I did One Wing Wednesday of friendlies on it, a little bit of co-op, and a little bit of events. I didn't like that the first event was a moonshot event because I felt like number one, we got a billion moonshot events in MLB 22, which I hated. It's fun to have like once or maybe twice a year, but keep it at that. We don't need a moonshot event every second event. And then I just felt like it doesn't really give you a good look at the tech test when all your first thing you're doing is taking these 99s and going up against common pitching. Like, you kind of want things to be on the same level. Like, just do like an all silvers event. I think that would have been a good something for the tech test. Like, hey, here's like these silver packs. Because then it sort of puts everybody's attributes at sort of a similar level. Maybe you
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
think a little bit more about how you're constructing your lineup. But right off the rip, it's like, here's moonshot event. So to me, it just like, it didn't feel like anything different as far as an
No,
event
it
goes. It
didn't.
was kind of just like, hey, come in the game and hit home runs, which was like, it's always fun to do, but I don't think it gives you
Yeah, but like at the same time, when you're doing like a tech test kind of thing, when you want to make sure that everything's going well, then you got to have it evened out. Got to have it evened out for sure.
yeah, I think maybe day one is just sort of like, let's test the servers. So everybody's going to hop on
Yeah,
and play it. So
yeah. I think that's probably
probably,
what they went for.
yeah, which I mean, I would say I didn't have as many
No,
issues
there was nothing wrong with the servers
as
this
like
year
in past
at
years.
all. There was nothing.
Yeah, so that's what we played for tech tests. And then, yeah, I mean, gameplay. So fielding. Let's talk about fielding. You want to just start us off with sort of your thoughts on how fielding was for you in the tech test?
Well, if you follow me on TikTok, shameless plug, Nick Terrio 12 on TikTok.
Follow.
If you follow me over there, you know that I do not like fielding in this game, just in general. The fact that they added the throwing meter and the fact that the throwing meter can be moving around while you're trying to get that like right in the dead center of the middle, nah. It's not, I mean, yeah, I mean it's great for like showing more skill in the game, making defense matter and everything. I completely 100% understand that. But if I'm streaming and I'm playing this game on defense side, I'm probably like 7 out of 10 times probably gonna bobble it or throw the ball away because I'm also trying to pay attention to my chat. That's the number one
Yeah.
thing that I pay attention to when I stream. So for me, that's gonna be a hard thing to adjust to. But I do, like I said, I do like the fact that it shows off a little bit more skill-based thing instead of just automatically letting the computer do its own
Do
thing. You know what
you
I mean?
do you normally use button accuracy for defense, like in past years?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, you always button accuracy.
Yeah,
I
I've never used any of the meter stuff until the tech test.
Oh, like you usually use just the buttons one, right? You just press the
Yeah,
button.
yeah, yeah. Just the regular
Not
buttons.
the
Yeah,
okay, not the
yeah.
the accuracy meter. Yeah, I used to. That's what I used to always do until I'd say like I think midway through 21, I switched to button accuracy, and I don't really think I noticed much difference, but especially because it was very simple to do always
Mm-hmm.
until now. Yeah,
For me,
it's
it's a harder thing.
it is crazy, man. This throwing meter is absolutely crazy, and there are things that I love about it and things that I don't love about it. So
I don't like that it moves. Like if it moves around like in the meter itself. That's a little bit fucked up. I can say that the rest of it is fine, but I just don't like that it moves.
yeah, the moving part really was like I don't really get it. Like I see what they're trying to do, but it's weird to like because it shows up and well, let's say it shows up and your meter's all the way to the one side or whatever
Mm,
to your right side, and then you're like trying to time that out in your head, and then all of a sudden it starts moving back towards the middle again, and then you got like you don't want to make it too crazy. Like I agree that it shouldn't always be the
yeah.
same as like just no matter how difficult the throw is, it's just like you have the exact same timing all the time. I get that part, but to have it like yeah constantly moving within the throw itself seems like a little bit much. um
Yeah, it really does.
and like I understand they said the fielding like rating is crazy. It's basically if somebody hits a ground ball and you can get to it, you're going to be out 99.5% of the time. Not very many errors. So I understand wanting to make it a little bit more realistic, bump that down. But it did seem like, and I know part of it is people getting used to the new meter, but
Hmm.
there were so many errors. I was making like 5 errors a game in a 3 inning game.
After maybe like 3 or 4 days, I think people were starting to get used to it.
Have you played much 22 since on defense? It is crazy. I
Yeah,
think
I'm probably gonna have to go to button accuracy whenever I stream next because
I
I'm
played
gonna lose that skill that I just had.
on my Wing Wednesday stream. I played like 4 games in a row on the tech test, and then I played one on MLB 22 against somebody, and then I think my first 4 throws were all off because I was like trying to hold the button down longer.
Yeah.
So that was funny. Yeah. So I don't know. Like I want it to be more difficult. I agree that you should be, sort of paying a little bit more attention. It almost seemed like it was like almost a 50-50 shot at the end of it. And I again, you'll play more, you'll get your timing down more, but
Yeah.
I'd say specifically when it moves and then like continues to move, that it's just like seems kind of crazy to me. Um,
Mm.
and then when we get into other fielding stuff, so one of the things they mentioned was sort of like reaction time, and if your guys are going to get the better fielding and reaction attribute you have, the better jumps people are going to get on the balls. On like fly balls and stuff like that. The better jumps on the balls. What am I saying? Anyway, so here, I don't know how you felt about this when you played, but I felt like it was a little bit, again, like a little bit too much. Like if I had somebody who wasn't a really, really good defender, I was always getting a bad jump, like every single fly ball, um, which like it's not going to happen. Like even a bad fielder is still a major league baseball player, and they're still going to get like a good jump. I'd say like most of the time,
Mm.
but I felt like it was like I get like 4 fly balls hit in a row to the same guy, and every single time he's getting a bad jump, and
Mm.
I don't know. That's just how I felt. Maybe like I don't have
I feel like in a way they
specific
were
data.
trying to make it more realistic, but at the same time, it's not because, like you said, they're all major league level players. They should be able to make it. I mean, sure, they might not have as good reaction time as other people, but
Yeah.
You know,
Like, I mean,
yeah.
Stanton's going to make some pretty good plays in the outfield some of the time. He's going to have like decent routes. He's obviously not going to get to every ball ever, but it just seemed like
Mm,
it swung way the other way. Again,
yeah, it did.
scale it back a little bit. Like if I have, Stanton, Castellanos, somebody like that in the outfield, I'm not expecting them to catch every single fly ball ever. Of
Yeah,
course
of
not.
course. Yeah, definitely.
But, if it stays like this, then I think like, you know, everybody's just going to have Ricky Henderson and Ken Griffey Jr. in their outfields because they're just going to catch
Mm,
everything. Um, so with the throwing meter, I felt like kind of with ground balls, you didn't really have an idea. Like it seemed like I would have difficult plays where sometimes I would get just like a normal throwing meter, and sometimes you would get sort of the more difficult one. And I was like,
mhm.
it was kind of hard to figure out which one you were going to get. I mean, again, it just makes you pay more attention.
Just
Uh,
yeah, exactly. Just react. I mean, your own reaction time. So
yeah.
that's
So
gonna matter with the game now too.
yeah,
You
we'll
got to be on
see
high alert.
all the time. All
Yeah.
those guys who do the streams where they're, drinking 20 shots a night by the end of the night are just going to be throwing the ball into the stands every second
Yeah.
throw. But yeah, it was I mean, I would say again, overall moving in the right direction, making things, more
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
difficult. Um and making things, more what realistic, I guess they want it is what you want to call it. But needs a little bit of tweaking, I'd say, from the tech test to,
Yeah. Of
let's say,
course.
a month or two into the game. We'll see how it plays. Sort of revisit some of this stuff. Um yes, I mean quirks and clutch we sort of touched on. Did you notice like when you were playing the game, were you thinking about these things at all?
I honestly, the only one that I was thinking about was the bad ball hitter. Oh, sorry. It's just my nose is a little bit itchy. Uh, it's starting to develop a cold over the past couple days or so.
It's because you were awake for
Um,
like 35 hours straight.
yeah. Um, really, the only one that I was really thinking about was the bad ball hitter because that's the one that caught my eye the most. And I know that's the quirk that would probably bug me the most. Um, but other than that, I never really thought about any of the other quirks or anything like that. The only other time that I really experienced it was just once where I threw like 12 pitches in one at bat and the guy fouled off like 9 of the 12 pitches. That's really the only experience that I have with that bad ball hitter quirk. But like I never went to look at any of the cards to see if they had these quirks. Um, but yeah, that's the one that definitely stood out to me the most
Yeah,
out of
I would.
everything else.
Yeah, quirks like to me, I don't think I ever ch- check quirks. Like I know they affect things, but
Yeah.
I had never like made a lineup based off of it, and maybe I should. Maybe I should pay more attention to that. But
I think that's probably what they're going for this year, just to like, just change literally everything up.
yeah, just like for me, just the way I've played, I just build whatever team I think is either the best or cards I
Mm.
play the best with.
Or fun to use and everything.
You know what? Maybe it would be a good little bit of research for me to do and be like, oh, this is my God Squad. These are the cards that I played really well with, and then look back and see what their quirks were and be like, okay, well, maybe that's why. Um, and then clutch, yeah. I mean, this new clutch thing, like not that I forgot about it, but it definitely was not at the front of my mind when I was playing the deck test. You
I
know,
don't think anybody really thought about the whole clutch attribute until
I
like they actually touched up on it.
right. I think like, we're all just like super used to playing this game that we're not necessarily thinking like, oh, I have a runner in scoring position. What's my clutch attribute going to be? Like maybe now, especially I think in like really competitive games, high levels of ranked in tournaments and stuff like that. Uh, that's where these things are really going to matter. The casual game player, the guy like me who plays all this basically everything on All Star, um, I don't think it's ever going to affect too much about how I build my lineup. Um, unless I'm doing specific sort of team build or something like that. But I can see where it would really matter to certain players, and I think that's what they're going for too. I mean, you want like all the top dogs to really be able to like deep dive into why they're using what cards and stuff. So, but as far as during the tech test, I never thought to myself once like, oh, I have a runner on third base. I should make sure I have somebody with more clutch batting. Um, and again, maybe I should have, but wasn't at the front of my mind. What was next? They're just sort of like the new sort of, I guess, visual changes. I mean, these
Mm.
things are never massive changes, but
It's
obviously
it's little things that you notice.
little
Little
things
things
that you
that you
notice.
notice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what were some of the ones that? What did you like? What were your favorite ones, or just ones that you thought they did a really good job of?
Um, I know a lot of people really like the like like the in menu of where you're changing your squad and everything. I know a lot of people like that. I have a little bit of mixed feelings about that. Um, but the thing that I think I liked the most was like the visuals in the background of like the main menu. I know those are like the final visuals or anything like that. But like when you're in Diamond Dynasty, I thought it was really cool, like the different colors and everything like that. Another thing that I really, really liked visually about the game this year was the fan cam in between innings. You could like use your right analog stick or your left analog stick. I can't remember which one it was, but you could like literally look around in the stadium and look at all the fans and look around the stadium. I thought that was a really cool feature.
Yeah, fan cam. I keep forgetting about that because I think it caught everybody caught. Sorry, it caught everybody by surprise. They're like fan
Yeah,
cam, and then
it
you
was
see
very
your
cool.
like thumbstick icon. You're like, oh, this like I can move this around and take a look around. So yeah, that'll be I mean more fun, especially once you have all of the stadiums in the game, because when you're playing Yankee Stadium and Citizens Bank Park every game, you get kind of bored of it a little bit quickly.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, a cool new feature that nobody was expecting. One of those things that you're like, oh, I didn't
Oh
even
yeah.
know I would like this. But
It's a nice little
um,
surprise.
you know what? What was one thing that I absolutely hated just because I just want, not that I want every game to like be as quick as possible, but I just thought it was
Mm.
unnecessary when like your second batter of the inning would come up. And if you take a first pitch or whatever, then it does that little weird cut scene to where they're just like standing at the plate. And I'm like, why are you showing me this
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now?
I thought
And
that was kind of
it was
weird
always
too.
just your second batter and after the first pitch. And I was just like,
That's
why?
that's that's not that's not necessary at
Yeah,
all.
like
Like you
why
don't need that. It's
why
not like
is
a
this here?
storyline kind of mode. Like
Yeah.
it's online play. You
That's
don't
like
really
the
need it.
first thing I do when I start the year is like get rid of that like the I don't know what they want to call it, like the clutch pitch cam or whatever, when you're when you have
Mm,
two strikes and two outs and you're pitching, and then it goes to that scene where it's just like panning around while you choose your pitch. I'm like, I
yeah.
don't want that. Get that out of here. I just want this to go as quickly as possible. Um, yeah, what else did they do for sort of displays? So like they added that StatCast thing. I think I opened it up once for 2 seconds and then forgot that it existed.
Yeah,
Um,
I completely forgot it existed too. Like
yeah,
I knew about it obviously when they mentioned it on the stream, and then
yeah.
I forgot about it.
One of those things that I mean, some people will like. It might be cool to like check at some point because I'm also interested. I guess you would want to know like exactly sort of what stats it shows. Is it just for that specific game you're playing, or is it like
Mm,
your overall? Like you have, you know, whatever Ken Griffey Jr. batting, you hit that thing and be like, oh, this is like how many hard hit balls he gets. I don't know what information it'll have, but kind of interesting to see. Um, Swing feedback, so that changed. They touched on that a lot in their gameplay premiere last week. I mean, it looks good to me. I feel like it's just kind of like the same information you got before, but it just looks a little bit different. But it looks clean. It looks nice. I have absolutely no issues with it. I like that it shows up right away. Um,
mm.
I can't even remember. Do you get to see your opponent's PCI at all?
I never I always look out for that kind of thing,
I
but
should.
I never noticed anything about that.
Yeah, I don't
I
think.
noticed with 22 you can't really see the opponent's PCI
Yeah, you just get to see
on
their
the
timing,
feedback
right?
either. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, just the timing, that's it. It should
because
be able to
you
show the
used to be
PCI
able
though.
to. I think it. I actually, I honestly, I think it's a good thing that they don't show your opponents. Like it would be good to see, but then I think it would just make people.
It would just piss people
Oh, it
off.
would just piss people off. They're hitting home runs
I
like
mean, it
that.
would be good, but like
It would be bad.
what would you be able to do to change their PCI?
Yeah,
That
nothing.
it would just anger people.
Yeah. So the biggest thing that I did not like was the lineup screen. You kind of touched on it a little bit, but it just seemed too stretched out in sort of your main like here's your defensive alignment screen. And then the fact that you had to like scroll over to get to your hitting lineup, scroll down to get to your bench, down again
Mm-hmm.
to your pitching, and then or your starting pitching, and then even one more time to your bullpen. So it seems like there's 5 panels for basically
Yeah, I thought that was kind of
like
unnecessary as
just kind of
well.
overkill. Like
Yeah.
you can update the look of it, maybe rearrange it a bit, but I would keep offense on one, defense on the and pitching on the other one. Just like kind of like how they've had it basically every
Yeah, like
year.
that. They didn't have to change anything
Yeah,
like that
that was one
because
of those
it
like
was perfect the way it
yeah.
was.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It
Yeah, like
also
it's just gonna confuse people.
it
Like I
also
got
seemed
confused.
weird to me that your DH spot wasn't on your main lineup. You had to like
Oh,
scroll
was
down.
it not? I never
No,
noticed
you
that.
just had like all of your positional players, and then the DH was with your bench.
Actually, I think you had your 4 bench spots on the bottom, like in that menu, and I think the DH was off to the left.
Yeah, but it wasn't like
Yeah.
with your. I feel like it should be with when
Yeah.
you're putting all your positions. It should be
Yeah,
on
like
that
it should be like
first
if you're
screen.
looking at that lineup screen, it should be between like where your catcher is,
Yeah,
and then you have your third baseman. It should be like somewhere right in there.
yeah. I mean, like how they do it
Yeah.
in the co-op or not the co-op. The what's the word I'm looking for? The leagues, the custom league screen. Right? Custom leagues, you can put a DH in.
Yeah,
So
exactly. They
just
could
do it
have
like that. Why change it? I don't know.
easily
Anyway,
they could have done that.
so we'll see. I mean, I gave them feedback on that, so hopefully some other people did
Yeah.
too, and we'll see how it goes.
They're gonna see the name Tango 85. They're gonna be like, "Oh, we got to do this."
I think the last thing to talk about as far as sort of like new on-screen stuff would be the new PCI, the Bat PCI, which was very popular. I saw very
Mhm.
many people using it. One thing that I think is funny is that every year they come out and tell us, "Oh, your PCI does not reflect like your actual bat," and then they could bring us a Bat PCI. It's like, well, what are you trying to say? So, thoughts on the Bat PCI, Nick? I know you used it a lot.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I think it helps like your accuracy and everything a lot more, especially if you're used to using smaller PCI, the inner PCI. If you're used to that, I think you're gonna absolutely rake with the Bat PCI. Personally, I use both at the same time just to try and get used to it. And I did play one VR game where I used just the Bat PCI. It's probably the best VR game I've ever played in my life.
Ooh. So is that like, do you think going into 23, like you think is that your goal to get to
Oh
the
yeah,
point where
my
you're
goal is to just get used to that, and then ultimately just use that PCI just in general.
just only
That's
Bat?
my goal.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I used it. I think like one of the days I used it all day, or the Wing Wednesday I was using it. So I tried it out and I did all right with it, but just my personal, I'm so used to. So basically, I think at the
Mm.
beginning of 22, I transitioned, or even 20, end of 21, I transitioned to just only using outer PCI. Because I just like, I don't like having too much in the middle of the screen.
Hmm.
So when I use the Bat PCI, like I did all right with it, but I just find that there was just for me too much going on, kind of like in that I just like to have the least amount possible personally. So that's
Yeah.
my preference. Eventually, I kind of switched. I did that for a day or two, and then I switched back to outer PCI, and I was using like the diamonds in the center, I think. Which I'll honestly, once 23 comes out, I'm probably going to go back to just straight up outer PCI because that's just
Yeah.
kind of what
Yeah.
I've this is the
It's
most
what you're
comfortable.
used to over the past couple
Yeah,
years.
it's what I like. I feel like every year I sort of switch it a little bit, and I always like to try different ones. Um, it was funny because I played which MLB did I play? 19 or something. I was just like logged on to 19 and I was like playing against the CPU, and it basically was just like an oval. Like your PCI is
Mm.
just a full on oval that's like kind of like a yellow, but not like a solid yellow, like an opaque yellow. So it was like weird to just have this full oval going around the whole thing, which was kind of funny. Like it's come a long way. Um, I think it's a really cool PCI to use. One thing that I wish they could have done with it is, and maybe this would be a bad thing. I think it would be cool to see. I don't know if people would like it or not, depending on what feedback you got. But since they have sort of the Bat PCI that you can use is on your swing feedback little screen instead of still showing the ovals. If they could show your bat on it, like if you're using the Bat PCI, I think that they should show like where the bat was, relative to the ball. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like, I think that would be cool if it just like after you take
I
your
think that'd be
swing,
really cool too.
because you get your overhead view of your timing, and then on the one where your like PCI accuracy one or whatever you want to call it,
Mm,
if they showed just the little bat outline and sort of maybe this where the sweet spot was relative to the ball, um,
yeah.
as opposed to
And
like
I think that I didn't really test this on the tech test, but I think with the bat PCI, I'm wondering if it's gonna be smaller at the higher difficulty you go up. I'm assuming it's going to be.
yeah, I might take a. I don't know. I feel like maybe it would be, but at the same time, like your bat's not going to get smaller, and like your bat, a real bat wouldn't. Depending against playing
Yeah,
against
that's what I'm
play,
wondering. That's what
playing
I'm
against
wondering.
Jacob Degrom, and all of a sudden you got to use a smaller bat. Um, you could probably test it in because you could still go in the tech test and do custom practice. So I wonder if you put it on Legend with that PCI competitive mode on Legend, you could probably just look and see. Maybe something I should do.
I
I don't
think
know.
possibly, yeah.
Yeah, because you can still go. I think that's just open until MLB 23 comes out.
Hmm.
Oh, and then let's get into the biggest thing they talked about, the thing that everybody was waiting for them to talk about, hitting, updated hitting. So in the stream last week, SES told us you should see more swing and miss, less of people, with PCIs super late, way out of the zone, fouling balls off. So less foul balls, more swing and miss. And then the other update to hitting is going to be your vision attribute, which is represented by your outer PCI when you're hitting if you use zone hitting.
Mhm.
That being reduced by 50%. So
It's definitely going to make it more skill based.
it should. That's the hope. That is
Theoretically,
it
yes.
should. So as far as like hitting in the tech test, I want to know. I'm going to start with you, Nick. How? Give me your just overall. How is hitting for Nick on the tech test?
The initial hitting in the tech test wasn't too bad. I felt like it was a lot more accurate. Like we talked about on the first podcast, I mentioned that whenever Jackie Robinson was hitting, remember I mentioned the step back, that kind of like lean back animation whenever he did get a late hit.
Yeah.
I kind of noticed that a little bit in the tech test as well. And I mean, they're not going to be able to get rid of early and late hits altogether. So I mean, it's just the way it is. I guess you could say it's just baseball. But like
DC?
I like the fact that they
baseball.
add the animations to it too. Like they make it more realistic, even though it's gonna make people mad or whatever. But like it adds to the game, it adds to the realness of everything because it's not gonna be 100% perfect. So not every ball that you hit is gonna be early or late or perfect.
Yeah, I mean you're gonna get there's gonna be the odd, cheap hit that they happen. Like nobody has ever I don't think anybody was ever like arguing that they would happen. The biggest problem that everybody always had was, a guy fouls off 10 pitches and then he gets a cheap hit. So, if it's like the first swing of the at bat and it's just like a bad swing, but he, good timing, like you can live with it usually. But when a guy's up there and you're just battling, your pitcher stamina.
Yeah, there's a big difference if the foul ball is like a big factor in that situation.
Yeah, your pitcher stamina just gets absolutely drained.
Mm-hmm.
So you could start an at bat in the green, end up almost in the red, and then by that point, like anything goes when you're in the red. Pitching stamina and MLB The Show. If there's one thing I've learned, as soon as you hit the red, honestly, sometimes as soon as you hit the yellow, you should just bring in a new pitcher if you can. But did you?
Yeah, that's usually what I do.
Like, did you notice a significant difference hitting in the tech test versus hitting in MLB 22? In your opinion?
In my opinion, it felt a lot smoother. I don't really know how I can back that up, but it just felt a lot smoother. It felt a lot different than playing 22 whenever I went back to play it yesterday. I really liked the PCI feedback and everything in the bottom left corner. Like they differentiated between like the timing and like the PCI placement and everything. I like that. The fact that they didn't re-smush it back together like they did last year. I think having separate windows for that kind of thing is absolutely perfect.
Yeah. it's nice to have sort of a, you know, a little bit more feedback or like information that you can use to, you know, decide how you're going to make your
Mhm.
next swing, or how, you know, how you're going to approach with your next batter or anything like that. So I'm going to say, like, personally for me, I didn't feel a huge difference necessarily when I was hitting. And I felt like I played the game like a fair amount. Like I played it almost every day, at least for an hour or two, um,
Mhm.
that it was out. And but I also fall in like the small category of people who like didn't hate hitting in MLB 22. Like I know it wasn't good, it wasn't great, but like I never had a huge problem with it. Like so many people did. We've all been on Twitter. We've all seen what everybody had to say about it. Um,
Mhm.
and I was almost surprised how many people I saw just completely switch their opinion on it from the tech test. And again, the tech test felt good to me. I'm not saying it felt bad by any means.
Mhm.
Um, but I didn't think it was like a huge leap forward necessarily. But
Yeah. Like there
um,
were like little bits and pieces that I noticed about it,
yeah.
but nothing like you could differentiate between like RBI baseball and MLB
Oh
The Show
yeah.
22. You
And
know.
again, like you know, I also saw um Ochev. He had his TikTok. I don't know if you saw it, but he's like basically calls out everybody who's like, what are you expecting? It's baseball. Like, you know, you expect to basically, they're going to tell you how the game's going to play it, and you hold them to that standard, right? Which I 100% agree with. Like, it's not going to change
Mhm.
drastically year over year because it's baseball. And to be honest, like, it's a pretty, if you look at like when I started playing MLB 17 compared to now, like, much different, but also not. Like,
Yeah.
um, but I did feel like I felt like I could see pitches a little bit better or read them a little bit better in the tech test than I could in 22. And maybe it's just because, you know, it's a new game, so there's obviously, you know, more like coding behind it and stuff. Like it should be better,
I
right?
think so. Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
so I felt like I could read, like I was better at taking pitches because, you know, my number one emote is free swing, and I just basically swing at every pitch anybody throws. So
I like the Tangang one the most personally.
I appreciate it.
Tangang, Tangang, Tangang,
Yeah.
Tangang, Tangang.
But like I have a hard time laying off pitches, and I felt like I was doing a better job of that in the tech test. And I don't know if maybe I'm just like
Yeah, me too.
focusing more, or if there was like like actually something in the game that like made it, you know, better for me to be able to read pitches. So I definitely felt like I was getting a lot of hits. I do also think that I was getting a lot of hits, or at least getting a lot of base runners. And I think a lot of that had to do with the defense, because with slower reaction times and people like messing up throws, you just had like way more people on base all the time. So
Yeah.
like I felt like I was, you know, I'd maybe lose some close games and whatever, or like I was putting up like 8 runs in a BR game. Like it was kind of one or the other.
Hmm.
And then as far as
Oh shit, I forgot what I was gonna say.
yeah,
I remember now. I will say one more thing about the hitting. You know, if I will. Um
you say whatever you want. That's what we're here to talk about.
F you. The one thing that I will say about it is that I noticed whenever I was swinging the bat, I was getting a little bit more check swings instead of like getting them called strikes. I have noticed that a lot over the tech test.
Like
I'm not sure if you did either, but that's another big thing that I kind of forgot about until just now.
no, I didn't. I heard some people mention that too. I didn't have too many. Not a noticeable amount for me, but
Mm.
I can't even like remember checking many swings, I guess. Uh, so you felt like it was better, like
Yeah, it
you
was
were
a
you,
lot better.
you
I
weren't
felt like it
getting
was a lot better for
you
sure.
weren't getting rung up. Did you notice that on the pitching side? Like you thought guys maybe should have been called for a strike that they didn't because their swing was
Yeah,
checked, or
it went both ways. It
yeah.
went both ways, I found. Yeah.
And again with pitching, like did you I'm gonna preface this by saying like I generally played like every single game I played in the tech test I think was on All-Star. Um so
Yeah, me too.
like So I don't expect to see a huge difference on All-Star because that's just kind of the base level that everybody plays on in Diamond
Hmm.
Dynasty, right? Like 90% of your events are an All-Star. If you're just grinding ranked seasons out to get cards and, like unless you're playing 700 plus, you're playing an All-Star, which is like most of the player base, like if, you get up to 700, if I really tried, I'm like I've been in 800s levels before, but I just don't have that in me. It's mostly that's just my personal thoughts on rank seasons and what I like to do in Diamond Dynasty. Rank seasons usually isn't
Yeah.
top of my list. They give you so many other ways to play the game, but
Mhm.
yeah, you got to think like 80% of people that play Diamond Dynasty, maybe not 80, but I'd say a high percentage mostly play on All Star, and I don't think you're going to feel a huge difference. I do think if you're playing on Hall of Fame and Legend, which you know that's where I think a lot of
That's
the
where it's most accurate.
yeah, and where a lot of the criticism has come from in the past. The guys who are playing sort of on those higher levels, and that's where I would expect it to really affect the game a lot more. The hitting and pitching and stuff. So I'm really hopeful for those guys. Like maybe if I
Yeah.
get up to those ranks and like maybe if I actually put some effort into like trying to be good at the game,
Hashtag hashtag top 50 Tango.
yeah, right. I will never. I don't play.
You can make that a series on YouTube, how to
Oh my.
Tango, and then just like, ooh, how to become a top 50
How
player or
to
something.
become a top 50 player, and it's me getting smoked as soon as I hit 700 every game.
Yeah.
I don't even think I made it past like 650 this year because I don't think I played a single game like once I got there. Um,
Mm.
yeah, but sorry, going back to it. As far as pitching, like did you feel like because they mentioned like you should be able to strike guys out slightly more. You should
Yeah,
see
I
more
did
swing and
notice
miss.
that I was able to be able to get some more inside sliders, inside cutters, and be able to strike more guys out compared to last year in MLB The Show 22. Whenever like they would just foul the ball no matter how inside it was. I was noticing a lot more strikeouts and a lot less foul balls.
Yeah, I need to play more. Like I just can't wait to have the full game and start playing because
Yeah.
yeah, I mean like everyone else, there were so many at bats in 22 where I'm like throwing these dotted up back foot sliders and the guy's just fouling it like six of them off in a row. And it's like, well, come on, game.
Mm.
Like at this point, like what it just felt like you could never get a guy out pitching. Like you just had to sort of like hope he
Yeah.
hit it to a bad spot or like get lucky. And I felt like maybe
Mm.
a little bit better in the tech test, but I still had many frustrating at bats where like
Oh yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
throwing, back foot slider, curveball in the dirt, the guy just like foul, and then he just like I make one mistake pitching and then it's either gone or like he whatever gets a hit or anything.
I think
So
that's just MLB The Show
that's
personally.
yeah, but I feel like that's what they're trying to say is like that's not going to be MLB The Show this year. So I'm still
Yeah.
hopeful for like the full game.
Hmm.
Um, but again, I didn't play on Hall of Fame or Legend, so maybe that's not a good example. Like if I'm trying to strike guys out on Hall of Fame, but I wouldn't be a good person to ask anyway because I probably
Yeah,
played
neither
like
would I.
I probably played like maybe 20 games on Hall of Fame all year last year. So, and I played zero Legend. This was the first year I never played any games on Legend because they didn't have a Legend event. They didn't have
Mhm.
one Legend event all year in MLB 22. Like, what are you doing, guys? What are you doing?
Mm.
We should have a full on pod on just like our thoughts on how brutal events were in MLB 22.
I'm super down for that.
Like, cause they were good every year. Events were good, and then last year they just decided to just not put any effort into them. It seemed we're just
Mhm.
gonna let you use every card you want, every single
They put more
event.
effort in the events in the tech test than they did events this year.
Right? Yes.
It's true.
Uh,
It's
yeah.
true.
Uh, ridiculous. Ridiculous. Well, yeah, and then the end of their stream, they dropped a couple little sweet nuggets of awesome. That was a weird sentence. I don't know why I said that, but we're gonna keep that in there.
Sweet nuggets of
Sweet
awesome.
nuggets of awesome. We're gonna have to make a nugget emote for the podcast, Twitter or Twitch.
I'm actually
Uh,
getting a Timbits emote made. It's
oh,
gonna be a bitch reward.
Timbits. It just makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
For anybody out there who doesn't know what a Timbit is, it would be like a donut hole. Some people call it that. Basically,
I don't know why it's called a donut hole.
well,
It's
because it
just
looks like
a
if you
round
took,
thing.
because a donut has a hole in the middle, it looks like if you took, if a donut was an entire, circle and you took like
I
the
mean,
middle of it.
yeah, but
I
I don't
mean,
know.
that's why. What do they call them at
It's just,
Dunkin'? Dunkin' Donuts has some name for them that I forget what they're called.
I don't even want to
Anyway,
think about that. I hate Dunkin'
it's
Donuts.
basically a golf ball sized donut,
Yeah.
and you get them in like variety of packs of like 10 to 100, and they're delicious. Get
Mm,
cup coffee, pack Timbits,
amazing.
start your day.
Yes, sir.
So a Timbits, I like the sound of that. The Timbits emote for a bits reward. I don't have any bits emotes. I'm so behind on my Twitch things. Anyway, back on track. SDS said, "Hey, by the way, at the very end of our stream, we're just going to say we have ranked co-op. You have co-op rewards in MLB Show 22. You've been asking for it. We're going to give it to you." So I know this is something you are very excited about. I think the whole community, obviously, but
Hmm.
you do a lot of
Yeah.
co-op stuff. I
Makes for a
do.
lot of fun content and stuff
Oh
too.
man, co-op is the best, and I'm really hoping today that we get what you want to see. I know what you want to see is co-op friendlies, which give us
Please.
co-op friendlies. I don't. Why can you not?
Fucking please, SDS, if you're watching.
If you,
Make my life easy.
if you can give us friendlies and you can give us co-op and you can give us rank co-op, you can give us co-op friendlies. They can do it.
Yeah.
It's
I
possible.
hope so.
So
I hope so.
did you, when you were playing co-op in the tech test, did you play mostly the rank co-op or just like the
Mostly ranked co-op,
mostly
yeah.
rank co-op?
It was a lot of fun. I think personally the ranked co-op stuff is going to be exactly kind of like the World Series program, or not the World Series program, the ranked seasons program that they had last year. But I think the way it's going to work, and they're probably going to talk about this today. Oh wow, starts in 30 minutes. That's crazy. Um, I think the way they're going to do that is I think it's going to depend on who you play with. Um, like I think like if it was me and you playing co-op and like we got the whole program done together, we would get those rewards. But then I wouldn't I'd have to re-unlock those rewards with another person. You know what I mean?
I don't.
Something like that.
I think
Maybe.
like everybody has their own like ranked rating, because you kind of saw it at
Yeah.
the end, like the end of the game. You'd be like, oh, this guy got 60 points, this guy got 40 points, the losing team got nothing or negative, whatever. So I think it's going to be just like normal rank, but just everybody's going to be sort of at a different spot. So I'm interested to see how it works. Like if let's say you're in championship series and I just playing my first game of ranked co-op and I have no rating, like does that mean we're just playing on Hall of Fame? Probably is my guess.
I don't know how it's gonna work, but
Like, because
I
yeah,
think
that's
they're
what I'm
gonna be
thinking. Like
tweaking
if
it.
you do a 3v3 and you match up and like one guy on the other team is a World Series guy and all 5 other players are in like division series or whatever the base one is, pennant race or whatever, do we all have to play on his level? Like that's where I hope they can expand on it a little bit more.
Hmm.
um
Yeah, I think they will today for sure.
yeah, hopefully, because I think basically it'll just like everybody's going to be kind of on their own rating system. Like you'll get different amounts of points depending on where your
Mhm.
rating was, how difficult the difficulty level, how you perform and stuff like that. So like I could reach World Series before you. Like it's, you know what I mean? Like because you can't have it like based on your teammate, because you would think that people are just, some people will like play with the same person every time, but like you're going to play with like 50 different people in ranked co-op, right? So
Yeah.
probably.
Well, I'm gonna be a little bit more whenever it comes to rank co. I'll probably be a little bit more serious because I like actually want to go to World Series. So yeah.
It Takes Two to Tango is going to be only ranked co-op. We're not doing
Mm.
for fun. We're going to take it. We're going to take it seriously, everybody out there.
That's gonna be hype.
Yeah, and whatever. If we lose, whatever. I don't care about my rank
Exactly.
rating. But rank co-op, any sort of reward system for co-op is amazing to see. So I mean, I'm psyched because you also get inning rewards. It looks like from what they showed. So I
Mhm.
mean, even if you just play a ton of ranked co-op, you'll get a World Series award eventually. Like it's I think anyway. Again, see what they tell us today, but that's what it looked like from what they showed. And then the next thing that they brought up was DH. DH is here in MLB for everybody
Yep.
now, and so DH is here in Diamond Dynasty. Um, so I'd love to know your thoughts on that, Nick.
I like it quite a bit. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that's saying, "Oh, there's no use for the bench anymore since you can't replace your pitcher or anything." But I mean, there's still a use for it. Like you can, like if you're using Jordan Alvarez in your starting lineup and you're facing a lefty, and it's like the very end of the game, you have two runners on, you're down by one, and you want to hit a walk-off home run, but you're facing a lefty with Jordan Alvarez at the DH spot. You can still sub in someone who's great against lefties, put them in that DH spot, not risk the defense at all, not have to deal with the defensive changes or anything, and then still face that left-handed pitcher, hit that walk-off home run, and you're good. Like there's still ways that you can implement strategy into the game with the DH in there. So
Oh yeah,
that's my thoughts.
absolutely. I mean, and
Yeah.
like you can basically you can use a bench spot to have like basically a platoon DH, right? Like you have whatever
Mhm.
Nelson Cruz and Jordan Alvarez as
Yeah.
your two DHs or whatever. Um,
Exactly.
Plus, I mean, I think especially with like the clutch thing, I think that's going to affect your bench a little bit too. Like, are you going to just keep like some 125 clutch guy on the bench just for that spot
Mhm.
late in the game? And then, I
Yeah,
mean,
you
you
can
always
absolutely
want
do
to,
that.
in my opinion, you always want to have a speed threat in your bench in case you get a guy, especially with like,
Mhm.
I would assume with Ghost Runners still being in MLB this year that they're going to still be in the game. I know they weren't for some reason in rate co-op. There were no Ghost Runners in extra innings. Um, but they were in events or in BR and stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm assuming they'll be in there. And then, you always kind of want to have your speed threat guy. So if you're bottom of the 11th, then you can plug them in at second base and try and get that win or whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
yeah, but Diamond Dynasty DH, I'm just like excited to
I'm all for
not
it.
have to try and hit with my garbage hitting pitchers. Whatever, like
Yeah.
it changes
I
BR a
like
lot
it.
too because like that pitcher spot you don't have to worry about, so you can draft your BR team a little bit differently. Um, so that played a little bit of factor when I was playing because I played a lot of BR in the tech test of just which pitchers I'm going to use when, not having to worry about my pitcher spot's coming up. So like, should I use maybe not my best reliever in this spot? You can kind of mix and match a little bit more
Yeah,
because
exactly.
that would affect things a lot of the time.
Mm.
So BR should be hopefully like pretty competitive this year. I mean, it usually is. It always gets super sweaty, but
Yeah, I
it'll be
think so
fun to
too.
see how everybody does that. And then lastly, they said, two-way player usage. You're going to be able to use Shohei Ohtani. Basically, you can plug him in a DH spot, and then he will still be able to be selected as your sixth starter for the game. I didn't test it out too much. I
I
had
never I never touched it. I never thought to
I
touch it.
had him on my bench, but I did a dumb thing. I wasn't thinking straight, and I also put him in my rotation. So I was like, oh, I guess I kind of like missed the point there because you should be able to have another. It shouldn't take up a rotation spot if he's on your
Mm.
DH spot. Um,
Yeah.
but it's cool that they did it. I mean, that was obviously the biggest. I had a big problem with that when they dropped that Takashi series Otani at the end of the year, and then
Yeah.
I instantly got two quits. And my opponent quit like in the second inning of the first game I played, so I had to quit out of like 4 games to get his stamina back. I go in another game, and then the guy quit right away again. So I was like,
Mm.
okay, well this is some BS. So it's nice that they like you can still plug him in at the DH spot. He'll still get his stamina back if he's not pitching, and then you can still use him in your lineup. So
Yeah, I like that feature. I think that's gonna be a lot of fun.
yeah, it'll be cool with plenty of other potential cards that they could do, like
Martin
with
Tehigo.
yeah,
Babe Ruth is probably
Babe
gonna get
Ruth,
a two-way card, I think.
even like some random tops now. Like if you see a position player
Anthony
pitch for
Rizzo,
some
Albert
reason, yeah,
Pujols, Brett
so
Phillips, maybe.
Brett Phillips.
Jared Walsh.
But I mean, the MLB did change the rules about position players pitching this year, so they're a
Mm.
little bit more strict on that. So we'll see. I mean, there's always just fun ways. I mean, it's basically they put it in there for Shohei Ohtani. Let's get real. Like,
Oh,
that's why it's in
absolutely.
there.
I mean,
So
it's called the Shohei Ohtani rule, so
yeah, well,
I
there you
love
go.
it. I love it.
And it should be. I mean, you should be able to use Ohtani. I hope they don't like let you use it for caps. I still like take caps out of Diamond Dynasty. They're useless. I don't understand people's want to use them. Like I get it in the point of like, oh, you can make like a guy that's super OP, but I play Diamond Dynasty to build fun teams and use cards of like real players that I enjoyed watching play baseball, not make some like crazy submarine lefty reliever who throws 102 with like an insane pitch mix. Like, so I don't know. That's just my thoughts on it.
Mm,
Take caps out of DD.
yeah, me too. I feel the same way.
Um, yeah, I mean, we're pretty much, what are we? Oh, we are going long. I mean, although we had that 20-minute break. Anyway,
Mm.
we'll yeah, sort of wrap it up on the tech test of just sort of, yeah, like best and worst parts of the tech test. What did you like? What did you not like? Um, anything you want to see them improve on, or just general thoughts?
Um, did you want me to start with best or worst?
Whatever you want, man.
The best thing from the tech test for me, in my opinion, I would say the bat PCI. The worst thing, definitely. The thing I'm neutral about the most would probably be the throwing meter. I'm gonna get used to it. I'm gonna practice it a lot. It's just right now I don't like it. But the thing that I would say was probably the worst thing from the tech test was the urgency of the fielders to actually get the ball into their
Oh my
gloves.
God, how did I not talk about this? How did we not talk about this?
Oh, there you go.
I agree. That is the worst thing. There was zero urgency, no matter who you had fielding the ball. Nobody wanted to get the ball to their glove and throw it. Nobody. Like you play a ball off the fence, and your guy's just like super lackadaisical, not trying to throw it. I clipped today. I had a ball that was hit to like not quite the warning track, like mid center field. I timed up a perfect throw with Jorge Mateo in center field. I know he doesn't have a cannon of an arm. The guy at third base had 51 speed, and I wasn't even close to getting him out at home. And I'm like, a perfect throw, like it should at least be close. If not, I should get like maybe get him
Absolutely,
out.
yeah.
So maybe his arm strength was 0. I don't know, but it was like, man, I finally got a perfect throw with this throwing meter, and I wasn't even close to getting the guy out. So yeah, I felt like even in the infield, some of the grounders, like the fielding animations were just maybe too long, and then there was just no
Yeah,
urgency.
there was literally no urgency. Like if I wanted to pull a double play, like I would get the throwing meter right from the shortstop to the second baseman at second base, and then I would get everything set and ready to go from the meter from second base to first base. Like it would all be perfect, but just the animations and the urgency.
Yeah,
mm,
yeah, there were a
Yeah,
lot of guys beating out throws that
yeah,
were
exactly.
green throws for sure. Yeah, yeah, I would agree, 100%. That was the worst. That was the worst
Yeah,
part of the tech test.
definitely.
That needs to be tweaked and get figured out.
What was the best part that you thought
Best part
of the
for
tech
me,
test?
oh man, I don't know if I have like a specific thing, but it's just new. Like I just, you know, this year, especially with how content went in 22, we've all like I've just been waiting for something new. Give me something new, MLB.
Mm,
So I'm like the excitement level for me is the best part. Like
hmm Yeah, I agree.
I'm so ready for this game, and I hope today just gives us like some amazing news. But
hmm
I'm just so ready. Like it was
Yeah.
exciting. It's always fun to play. I really like how they changed it now, where literally everybody can go and play the tech test, because before you had to like sign up and maybe you were going to get the beta version, maybe you weren't. So
Yeah, I thought that was
um,
stupid.
yeah, I mean it. This is just way better. This is better. Give it to everybody. Every game should really do this. Um,
Mhm.
like for
I
the
mean, at
most
least
part.
SDS is trying to fix things now, which I
Yeah.
love. The fact that they're acknowledging the community, fixing stuff up, adding some new things. I like it. Like
Oh,
it's awesome.
also an awful part, and this has nothing to do with the game, is don't quit. People still quitting out of games on the tech test. Like just play the game. Like get a feel for things. Like
Mm.
you're not going to get any better at it quitting out of the games either, buddy. Like I don't know. it wasn't super bad, but it like the fact that I probably had like 10 quits in 5 days of playing this is like pretty ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
But also on that note, people go on to their website. I think their survey is still open, and go give your feedback about the tech test. Go to the
Go give that
show.com.
feedback.
Give
Any
the
feedback is good feedback.
I didn't have like a ton of stuff to say, but there were certain things that I wanted to talk about. But they'll go through it all. The more feedback they get, the better of a game we're gonna get.
I still haven't done anything yet. I'm gonna have to do that later tonight because I'm gonna be reporting on all the news that we're getting from this feature premiere coming up in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I don't know if they put a date for when it closes, but I'm sure it would still be open for a little while.
Yeah, probably like another week or something, maybe. Just to tweak some things.
Just for everybody out there, go give your feedback. If you played the tech test for an hour, if you played it for 40 hours, give them some feedback because they need it, they want it, and it's only better for everyone. Yeah. And then the last thing I had to talk about, not related to MLB The Show, but everybody has reported to their spring training facilities more or less. And I think even starting on Saturday or Sunday is the first Jays spring training game. I don't know about every team, but I am excited to be watching baseball again. I know obviously we have the World Baseball Classic coming up in March, but
yes, sir.
Right away this weekend, there is going to be baseball that we can watch. Yusei Kikuchi is taking the mound for the Blue Jays.
With the beard, I saw that.
This guy's going to be throwing 97.
Shout out talking baseball for that one. I saw that.
97 heaters, blowing away sliders, striking guys out all year long, hopefully, right? That's what he's going to be doing.
Him and Jose Barrios.
Hey, the two best pitchers.
Breakout players this season. Actually, I don't think so. Never mind.
Shout out to Nolan, but Jose Barrios, he's got to do better this year. There's no way he can be worse. He was like the worst starting pitcher in the league last year, and he still had like 15 amazing starts. They won so many of his games too, which is just mind-boggling. But that's how good our offense is, and we're not getting worse. Our offense got better, so I'm just excited. Yeah. Spring training is here. Oh, like baseball's gonna be on TV, man. How ready are you for
watch parties and stuff? I'm going to be doing WBC watch parties and everything once that starts on the 9th. Take a little bit of a step back from MLB The Show 22. Thank fucking God. I'll still be playing a little bit, but like WBC content is probably going to be my niche for a little while.
Yeah, I mean it's going to get a lot of attention. So, and I mean look out world for that Dominican Republic team.
DR versus the US. I got DR winning.
I don't think the U.S. is going to make the final. Their pitching's not good enough.
Their rotation is ass. They lost Clayton Kershaw too. I think their best pitcher is Waino. Their best starting pitcher is Wainwright.
They have like some decent relievers, but I don't know. Venezuela looks really good. Japan's always good in these. We'll see. I mean, they have
Puerto Rico looks pretty solid too. I think I've been picking DR to win it ever since I heard about it.
U.S. definitely has the bats to win it. They could pull out like 10-9 wins. They're like the Blue Jays right now. They have a really, really good lineup. Pitching, If everybody pitches well, they could do well. But yeah, it's hard to bet against the DR for sure. Like, I don't know anybody who's not picking them. But we'll see. I mean, it's baseball, man. Baseball. It's back. It's here.
Super stoked.
Seeing all the it was picture day, getting to see all the guys getting their picture taken. Everybody in their new uniforms. Kevin Kiermaier looks amazing.
The Jacob deGrom thing.
Oh, yes. Burger.
That was really weird.
What's your favorite food? Burger. Jacob deGrom is going to get injured in the season opener and not play again until the last week of the season, probably.
Probably, yeah. He's probably still going to get a finest card in MLB The Show because SCS hates us.
He's so good. No, you know what? I hope he plays. Like, baseball's better when Jacob deGrom's pitching. It's more fun, more exciting. Anything else you want to touch on, Nick?
Go Royals.
Zach Greinke, Cy Young.
Trade Aroldis Chapman at the deadline, please.
Trade him to the fucking depths of hell.
That's all I got.
That guy sucks, man. He was so I know he is not a good person. All that aside, he used to used to be such a good pitcher, and he is just so bad now. Like every
Mhm.
game that the Blue Jays played, I was so happy when they brought him in. When the Blue Jays played the Yankees last year, I'm like, yes, bring in Chapman. He walked the bases loaded, and then they're like, he's out. And then somebody else would come in and just shut us down, Michael King or
Yeah.
whoever. Go Royals, except for Chapman, this guy says. Bobby Witt Jr., though, that guy's going to have a good year.
Oh,
I didn't
sure.
realize that he was
Ooh.
on Team USA. That's pretty awesome.
I think he's the starting shortstop.
Excellent. Oh, man, it's going to be fun to watch. All right. Well, yeah, I mean, I think that is it for us today. The plan is we're going to have another episode, hopefully, in the next few days, going over everything that they talk about in the Diamond Dynasty feature premiere. Because if you guys don't know, guys and girls, everybody listening, Nick and I are really big into Diamond Dynasty. We'll hopefully get some people maybe come on the pod when they talk more about franchise and things like that. That's not our forte, but we just love MLB The Show. Thank you so much for the support so far. I mean, the first episode did better than I was expecting. I mean, obviously, you're just two guys coming out of nowhere making a podcast, and you never really know what to expect. But feeling the love and hoping to just keep growing throughout the cycle of the game and beyond.
To infinity and beyond.
On that note, everybody, have a great day. Nick, have a good one. Don't forget to follow us on all our social at On Deck Circle Pod on Twitter, the On Deck Circle Podcast on Twitch. I don't even know where YouTube is, the On Deck Circle Podcast or something like that. All the links, you know where to find them. They'll be down in below, or just keep looking. Follow us on Twitter, and you'll get them all there. All right, everybody, have a great day, and we'll talk to you later. Peace.
Peace.